Welcome to 5G Technology World. I'm site editor Martin Rowe. Today we are speaking with Glenn Weinreb. Glenn is the Chief Technology Officer for a project called Manhattan 2, which he started to address climate change. But given the COVID situation, that's been put on hold. Instead, what Glenn is doing is he is working with a Professor Chaim Lefkowitz of the University of Massachusetts at Lowell to develop a data and communications system through software that will help to provide information on COVID testing, to be able to get people to be able to get tested and get it quickly, and to get the data to the authorities quickly. And it involves a web app, a mobile app, and a database. The initiative consists of 6 projects. Project number 1, develop point of contact COVID test with a 15-foot offset. Project 2, get COVID test within 10 minutes via 911. Project 3, improve point of entry control. Project 4, improve elevated body temperature detection systems. Project 5, develop field medicine support technology. And Project 6, develop air testing support software. So Glenn, why don't you tell us about this project?
Well, these are fascinating times in the sense that we have a modern society, the United States being hit by this pandemic. We have all sorts of challenges. We have health challenges, but also there's economic challenges. And also we have, in a sense, a timing problem in that there's all sorts of things that are needed, but they're not set up. And an example is CVS has set up 1,000 testing centers, but it took them 2-3 months to do that. You would prefer that be available, let's say, in February, or January, but it takes time to hire and train people. And so UMass Lowell is interested in this, and the chairman of the computer science department, Professor Lefkowitz, is very interested in the idea of that the society should have available a variety of tools that can mobilize resources quickly. And so he has a proposal to have UMass Lowell work on 6 topics to develop materials to help fight this pandemic as well as future pandemics. And one of the project 1 is to develop a system whereby you have a self-test administered outside, let's say, on the sidewalk. And an example is, let's say somebody calls 911, a police car comes by, and in the trunk of the police car is a test kit. And in this project, we work on developing the support materials and training materials that support this. Now, there already are medical tests to do this. So this does not involve work on the medical test. But what the police officer could do in theory is put the test kit on the pavement and then back up 15 feet. And then the COVID person grabs a Q-tip and puts it up their nose and then places it in a container and caps it. And then steps back. And then the police officer with a plastic trash bag collects the sample. And in a sense, one could do this right now, but what's needed is an app on the police officer's phone where they can record the test kit serial number and also provide to the subject a let's say a 1-inch by 3-inch piece of paper, like a little bit like an address label, with a web site that you can go to and key in the serial number and get the test results. Because what's needed is just a little bit of glue support technology to make it so that this is an automated system. Okay, so that's project number 1. And project number 2 is to create the support technology to support having somebody call 911, or it could be another phone number with a different call center, but 911 is already set up. So in February or so of this year, when the pandemic was starting to hit, we noticed we had our 911 call center set up. So you dial 911, you say, gee, I'm not feeling well, and then the dispatcher types into a window some information, and then police, or it could be National Guard, has an app on their phone developed by the University of Massachusetts that tells them, oh, go to this house, and then provide a self-test kit, as well as ask questions like, do you know of anybody else who's not feeling well? Or there may be some people standing around outside, and they can say, hey, do you know anybody who's not feeling well? And they can log into the app possible virus cases, and also they can administer a test. So that's project number 2, which is setting up a 911 call center. And what UMS is interested in is developing the software, but also training videos for police, National Guard, military, or anybody. It could be. And also they're interested in taking, let's say, a small organization, let's say a small police department, and having them actually work with their UMass Lowell materials. And then based on the experiences with this small local police department, they want to update their materials so that they can refine them and make sure they're working properly. And then what they want to do is take this and make it available to the world, free and open, meaning the source code, all the videos, the training materials is made available to the public. So anybody in the world can take these materials and build on top of them, improve them, utilize them. And so the effort here is not to make money, but to create tools to fight pandemics. Yeah.
So Glenn, what we have here, it sounds like, is really an information system. And I realize that the professor is the head of the computer science department at UMass Lowell. So
Right.
This is really an information system consisting of a web app, a mobile app, a central database, and probably some sort of communication system so that people can get their results, which could be the web app or the mobile app. But it could also has to tell the person who's, for example, delivering the test kit where to go. So it's got to have have the entire mapping part to it. So is that pretty accurate? Is that correct?
That's absolutely 100% correct. That's absolutely right. And a lot of this is computer science. And in a sense, this is glue that is missing. There's a lot of resources that the United States has that are not being fully utilized to fight the pandemic. The police, for example, drive around in their cars, but are they necessarily fighting the pandemic? Not necessarily, not so much. And the same thing with National Guard. A lot of them are in their base trying to not spread the virus at their base, but are they out in the field fighting the pandemic? No. And so what's needed is computers, software, and that's why this is the chairman of the computer science department that wants to tackle this, as opposed to the University of Massachusetts Medical Center, which focuses more on the biology and the biochemistry and developing medicines and test kits and things like that. So this is approaching developing pandemic fighting tools from the point of view primarily of computer science. However, Levkowitz is also interested in partnering with doctors, medical centers, as well as people who put together training materials, videographers, as well as non-computer people, because I think maybe 85% of this project is computer programmers, and then 15% involves other people.
There are other aspects to this project aside from the app. Well, I wouldn't say from the app, but there are other aspects of this project. You had mentioned, it mentions in this document, and we will provide a link just below or above this video for anyone who wants to get this document. So what's the other projects involved?
Okay. So the Professor Levkowitz has a 6-page proposal that summarizes 6 different projects. And I just mentioned the first two. The third project is to develop tools for point of entry workers. Okay, what is point of entry? If you have a building or a subway station, or let's say it's a supermarket, project 3 is to develop support materials for the point of entry control worker. And an example would be a vest that they put on that contains pockets, and in one pocket you've got masks that you could sell or give to people. Another pocket, you've got a forehead temperature measuring tool that you can use to measure forehead temperatures. And then another pocket, you could have self-test kits. So if somebody's hot or they're not feeling well, you could say, hey, you know what? We can go walk over into the parking lot here and we can get you a self-test if you'd like. So the point of entry control worker with an app can help identify those hot spots for more attention. And so that's project number 3 is developing tools for point of entry control workers. And project number 4 is to develop software for elevated body temperature scanning. Now, there are cameras that record body temperature, and there's 11 companies that make these, although they have some issues with calibration and accuracy and trying to identify people walking in a line. And so with project number 4, the idea is computer programmers develop software that makes those cameras more capable and able to process people, let's say, entering the building. And then it's the intent to take all that software and make it available to the public so that the 11 companies can then take this software and utilize it and improve their products. Okay, so the idea is not to develop one product that's then sold by a small company that no one knows about, but in order to maximize the utilization of this technology, we're looking at giving it away for free. And that includes giving it to companies, or anybody for that matter, outside the United States. So India and China, for example, they have companies that are developing these cameras that the software is rudimentary, and they can then take these software modules and use it to improve. So that's the next project. And
whenever you have any of these kind of apps or computer systems or databases that involve getting some information from people, there's always a certain reluctance because people are concerned about security, people are concerned about privacy. How have you addressed that?
Well, so the computer scientists definitely need to work on that, and there's all sorts of things they can do. One is if you have a medical information system, like in the Boston area, the largest is called Epic, and that manages the medical records for many of the people in the Boston area. So you can provide information to Epic, but they're definitely not going to want to release any information about any patients, which is fine. So that one thing is you can have information going in one direction and not the other. The other thing is if you have the app, you could put information in, but getting information out is another step. And then the hard part is it has to do with authentication. Let's say you've got some people that see the reports of possible COVID patients, and okay, so that's, let's say, somewhat confidential information. And let's say they are logged into the computer system, but you have to authenticate them. You have to figure out, okay, who is actually, qualified to receive that information. That's a little tricky. You may have to, manually get them a file to put onto their computer that says they're okay. And so that's part of the challenge is putting together the tools to help people deal with that.
Okay, Glenn, one last question. How are you planning to fund this project?
So right now we're talking to a variety of sources that are state, federal, and foundation. And it's not clear where the money is going to come from. Yesterday, U.S. Representative Joe Kennedy III, who is, represents Massachusetts, offered to write a letter of support for this initiative. And so we're in the middle of talking to funding sources.
Okay, Glenn. Well, thank you very much. And we hope that your project is successful.
Thank you.